But the Indiana Fever went all out for Caitlin Clark's logo drop. So there was a lot of excitement already fluttering about Gamebridge, and energy was high. They definitely spared no expense in letting everybody know that Caitlin Clark does have a new logo out. The arena was actually covered with t-shirts that said Caitlin Clark was here. The outside of the arena had her logo everywhere. She even showed up with all these accoutrements with a CC logo.
There's a high-stakes battle unfolding in the world of basketball, but don't expect to find it on the hardwood. This war is quiet, strategic, and corporate. The arena? Conference rooms. The battleground? The WNBA itself. This isn't about a breakout rookie lighting up the scoreboard or a headline-grabbing endorsement deal. It's about how one athlete, backed by a global powerhouse, is shifting the balance of power so dramatically that the league around her is starting to feel like an afterthought. What we're witnessing isn't just branding or hype, it's a takeover. And the prize at stake isn't a ring or a banner. It's something far bigger, the future and identity of women's professional sports. And the first move? It didn't come with a game winner or viral highlight. It arrived quietly, in the form of a logo. Clean, simple, but packed with meaning. It was more than just a brand launch, it was a shot across the bow, signaling a dramatic power play the league didn't see coming, and still isn't fully prepared to confront.
These up-and-coming next-generation young guns enter the league, it is becoming more and more apparent that the WNBA veterans did not do much to really advance the game of the WNBA. They didn't really develop the game as much as they'd like to think. You have these rookies coming in and doing in one season, and doing in less than a season and half a season, what it's taken these vets of the past 600, 700, 800, 900 games to do.
When the Indiana Fever unveiled Caitlin Clark's logo, it wasn't your average team announcement. This wasn't a casual drop, it was a meticulously staged brand offensive. In a matter of hours, Gamebridge Fieldhouse was transformed into something more than a basketball arena. It became a monument. A branded fortress honoring one player. Inside, every seat was blanketed with shirts boldly declaring her arrival, not just to the team, but to the league, the culture, the business. Caitlin Clark was here wasn't a slogan. It was a statement of takeover. Outside, the transformation was just as staggering. The facade of the building had morphed into a massive advertisement, a towering display of her sleek new CC logo, interlocked, iconic, and visible from blocks away. It wasn't just marketing, it was messaging. And when she stepped into the building that night, she didn't look like just another rookie gearing up for tip-off. She arrived fully wrapped in her own unreleased gear, custom apparel so new, fans hadn't even had the chance to buy it yet. She wasn't just suiting up for a game. She was debuting an empire.
Listen, Caitlin Clark had a huge announcement today. The new Caitlin Clark logo is out. She took to Twitter and said, tune in, logo collection coming soon. Signature product dropping 2026. I think we getting them new CCs, them logo 3 CCs in 2026, y'all. It'll be no more Kobe PEs, which we've loved. We about to get them Caitlin Clark sneakers. Let's take a look.
What happened that night wasn't just a product rollout, it was a full-scale display of Nike's dominance. This was the sportswear giant flexing its global reach and rewriting the rules in real time. The message was loud, calculated, and unmistakable. This wasn't marketing, it was a crowning. With that logo reveal, Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the league, she made history. For the first time ever, Nike had given a female basketball player her own signature emblem. Not a co-branded line. Not a limited collab. A full-fledged symbol, built solely around her. It was more than a milestone. It was a powerful statement that immediately placed her in elite company, the kind reserved for icons like Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe. Until now, that echelon had been untouchable. Suddenly, it wasn't. And while veteran WNBA stars continued grinding for airtime and basic visibility, a rookie had just leapfrogged the pack, not because of stats alone, but because a billion-dollar brand decided she was already more than an athlete. She was the moment.
You are hoping to get your hands on the Caitlin Clark version of Nike's Kobe Bryant sneaker. You're out of luck. They are out of stock. The WNBA star teamed up with Nike for a player edition of the Kobe 5 Pro Tro, decked out in Indiana Fever colors. You see them on your screen. They dropped at 10 a.m. Monday, and they sold out before 11 a.m. In fact, in just minutes. The $190 kicks are already showing up on the secondary market at close to double the retail.
This logo wasn't just a branding move, it was the front-facing symbol of a deal that rocked the foundation of women's basketball. Behind that sleek insignia stood a staggering number, $28 million over 8 years. That's not just a contract, that's a full-blown corporate commitment. In plain terms, Nike didn't just back Caitlin Clark, they bet on her over the league. The message was loud and clear, she's not just part of their women's basketball plan, she is the plan. The market caught on quickly. When her Kobe-inspired sneakers dropped in Indiana Fever colors this past July, they disappeared from shelves in minutes. Frenzied demand. Immediate sellout. Within hours, Nike's stock ticked up 3%. And that was just the beginning. But this latest deal? It's no flash-in-the-pan collab. It's not a limited edition run designed to test the waters. This is an anchor investment, an all-in commitment that makes Clark the centerpiece of Nike's women's basketball future. Beginning, middle, and end. While others are still waiting for a spotlight, Clark was handed the entire stage, with the full force of a global giant behind her. So if you've been wondering whether this moment was hype or history in the making, this was your answer.
I've been telling y'all to stay patient. I've been telling y'all that Nike takes their time, that Asia Wilson's shoe deal was 2 years in the making, that Paige Beckers had PEs, not her own signature shoe, and that Caitlin Clark's was 100% coming. And people kept saying, oh, Nike fumbled the bag with Caitlin. It has to get out there. Nike fumbled the bag. No, they didn't. It takes time. She's got to develop a whole freaking product line. But they just announced, breaking news right now, we have a logo. That is the official Caitlin Clark Nike logo. And it's not just that. I mean, this is cool. Nike has just announced that a signature product line will be dropping soon, with signature shoes coming in 2026. Now, this is going to be her logo for all of her Nike stuff that is Caitlin Clark official stuff.
The response from the public was instant and overwhelming. Caitlin Clark's $190 Player Edition sneakers hit the market and were almost immediately swept up, only to reappear on resale sites for close to $600 within mere hours. Lines wrapped around the block. Fans camped out overnight at Dick's Sporting Goods locations nationwide, desperate for a shot at owning even a single pair. This wasn't just consumer demand, it was full-blown cultural obsession. Social media turned into a digital echo chamber of heartbreak and hype. Posts flooded in from fans lamenting their missed chance. One user summed it up perfectly, "I saw so many people who were genuinely crushed they couldn't grab a pair." This wasn't about sneakers anymore, it was about being part of something bigger. A movement. A moment in sports history that people didn't want to watch from the sidelines. Nike wasn't simply co-signing a rising athlete. They were channeling a wave of cultural momentum and turning it into measurable impact. And the numbers? They didn't whisper, they roared.
Clark has been a lightning rod for attention since entering the league. She brought in new fans, national media, and even primetime slots. Her absence isn't just hurting the Indiana Fever, it's apparently impacted the entire league's momentum. But this also sparks a deeper conversation. Is it fair for one rookie to carry the weight of an entire league's popularity? You see, critics say the WNBA's marketing has leaned heavily on Caitlin Clark, while longtime stars like Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and others deserve more spotlight too. On the flip side, others argue Caitlin Clark is the draw, and the ratings prove it. Some even wonder.
While Caitlin Clark's brand was reaching stratospheric levels, a quiet crisis was brewing, one that would lay bare the WNBA's most unsettling truth. It started with what seemed like a minor setback, a groin injury on July 15th. Nothing career-threatening. The kind of thing players bounce back from in a week or two. But instead, Clark was benched for an unexpected stretch, 15 games over nearly a month. And in her absence, the league didn't just wobble, it flatlined. The surge in viewership that had followed her every appearance evaporated almost overnight. Ratings, which had previously hit unprecedented highs whenever Clark stepped on the floor, nosedived with alarming speed. Nowhere was the fallout more visible than at the WNBA All-Star Game, an event meant to showcase the league's top-tier talent and celebrate its growth. Instead, it became a warning sign. Viewership dropped a staggering 36% compared to the previous year, plummeting from 3.44 million to just 2.19 million viewers. The message was impossible to ignore. When Clark vanished from the court, so did a huge chunk of the audience. And with that, the league was forced to confront an uncomfortable reality. It had become dangerously dependent on a single rookie to carry its national relevance.
35%! WNBA ratings down, All-Star Game 35% than last year. Yet you're telling me that it doesn't have to do with Caitlin. 35%. It really makes it difficult for fans of the WNBA in general, and Caitlin Clark, like myself, to have conversations, to join a Discord, just to I don't know, want to just talk up the WNBA in general, when you can't even give Caitlyn the props that she deserves.
Games that once drew millions suddenly turned into ratings black holes. What had been primetime showcases quickly faded into broadcast afterthoughts. Take the Fever vs Sky matchup. The first showdown featuring Caitlin Clark pulled in a massive 2.7 million viewers, a landmark number for a regular season WNBA game. But the rematch, played without her, was a different story entirely. Viewership cratered so dramatically that some networks stopped reporting the numbers altogether, seemingly to avoid the embarrassment. The league, once eager to trumpet every ratings milestone on social media, fell curiously silent. The celebratory post stopped. The charts and graphics vanished. And in their place was an uneasy quiet that said more than any press release could. The optics were undeniable. This wasn't a routine ratings dip. This was a collapse. The kind that couldn't be explained away by scheduling or market size. The WNBA didn't have a casual interest problem. It had something far more dangerous, a full-blown Caitlin Clark dependency. One star, one storyline, holding up an entire ecosystem. And the moment she stepped off the court, the structural cracks became impossible to ignore.
Caitlin will never be paid what she's worth by the WNBA because it is quite literally impossible for them to pay her what she's worth. An economist at Indiana University Columbus calculated that Caitlin Clark was responsible for $36 million in economic impact to the city of Indianapolis, and that she is responsible for 27% of the entire WNBA's economic activity for this past season, including attendance, merchandise sales, and television. One player.
Caitlin Clark's injury was only the beginning, a warning sign of a much larger crisis looming over the WNBA. The 2024 season quickly spiraled into what can only be described as an injury epidemic, the likes of which the league has never seen before. Players across the entire league were sidelined at an alarming rate, with the damage reaching staggering levels. According to an in-depth report from the Next Hoops, the WNBA endured an astonishing 212 separate injuries, forcing athletes to miss over 859 games combined, and that was before the regular season even wrapped up. Among the most devastating were 10 career-altering ACL tears, alongside a litany of other serious injuries that left rosters thin and fans frustrated. The newest franchise, the Golden State Valkyries, a beacon of growth and hope, suffered particularly hard, with 27 injuries reported on their squad alone. This was not a series of unfortunate events or mere bad luck. It was a glaring sign of deeper issues, a systemic breakdown that threatens the very foundation of the league.
Means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlin Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. Patrick Mahomes does not mean that much to the NFL. Steph Curry does not mean that much to the NBA. LeBron James does not mean that much to the NBA. She is a monster. When we look back on this, Caitlin Clark will be for the WNBA what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were for the NBA. If this thing ever becomes as big as some people think it can become, she will be the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. You needed two of them to take the NBA to another level. You needed Magic and Larry. She doesn't need anybody.
Critics have been quick to point fingers, arguing that the league's relentless chase for growth, fueled largely by the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, came at a steep cost. In an effort to maximize exposure and revenue, the WNBA pushed its players into a punishing, unsustainable grind. The demanding schedule, coupled with the brutal realities of commercial travel, turned into a perfect storm that wore down the league's most precious assets, its athletes. What some see as ambition, others call neglect, a failure to balance growth with player health and longevity. Against this backdrop, Nike's strategy suddenly looks less like simple sponsorship and more like a calculated safeguard. By surrounding Clark with a massive financial and marketing shield, Nike wasn't just backing a rising star, they were executing a rescue operation. They recognized early that the league itself was struggling to protect its biggest investments. And so, they stepped in, building a fortress around their chosen athlete, one designed to shield her from the very instability that threatens the future of the entire WNBA.
For 10, and a lot of people have been getting on Nike because they don't feel like they have been promoting Caitlin as much as they should. But I will say we have to give credit where credit is due. I feel like in the past month or so, they have been tweeting about Caitlin more, and then obviously with this shoe release, they made this super sick commercial to promote it. And of course, just today, Caitlin Clark's new Kobe PE shoe sold out in less than a minute, and I saw so many tweets tweets about this. So many people who are so sad that they missed out on this shoe. I saw that there was this one Dick's store and people were lined up around the corner, like camping out trying to get the shoe.
This turmoil only underscored just how genius Nike's gamble on one player truly was, especially when you dig into the staggering economic impact Caitlin Clark has created. The figures are so striking, they almost defy belief. An economist from Indiana University broke down the numbers and found that in her rookie season alone, Clark was responsible for driving a $36 million economic surge in Indianapolis. That's not just a win for the Fever, it's a boost for the entire city. Before turning pro, she already had a monumental effect on the state of Iowa, generating an estimated $52.3 million during her college career. But here's the jaw-dropper: in 2024, Clark personally accounted for 26.5% of the entire WNBA's economic output. Put simply, more than a quarter of all ticket sales, merchandise revenue, and media value across the league was directly tied to one player. One athlete carrying the financial weight of an entire professional sports league. That's unprecedented.
And I'm here to tell you, they dropping some merch too. Now you can pre-order Caitlin Clark's signature t-shirts, man. Nike wasted no time in getting the ball rolling for the Caitlin Clark brand. Now, I've been pretty vocal about this. I believe they're turning Caitlin Clark brand into a luxury athletic brand. Hence why the logo looked eerily, this is just my theory, to the Gucci logo. But I will say this though, it is a unisex logo. You can tell by how the logo is designed. You can tell by how the logo is made. It is definitely a unisex logo. And guys,
one analysis revealed a staggering truth. For every 6 tickets sold in any WNBA arena, one was bought by a fan who showed up specifically to watch Caitlin Clark play. At Indiana Fever home games, attendance exploded, hitting a league record average of 17,036 per contest, a number that actually eclipsed even their NBA counterparts, the Pacers. Take those Clark-driven figures out of the equation, and the league's glowing reports about record-breaking crowds start to sound less like victory and more like an illusion. This kind of influence is unprecedented in professional sports. Some experts have even suggested that Patrick Mahomes doesn't carry the NFL's economy like Clark does the WNBA. And LeBron James? Even he doesn't command that level of economic impact within the NBA. Clark isn't just a star player within the league, she is the league's economy. The very lifeblood of its financial survival.
The Caitlin Clark collaborations just keep coming, ladies and gentlemen. The God Caitlin Clark has now done a collaboration with Stanley, man. You know how huge this is? You know how many ladies love their Stanley Cup, man? And now you got the most electrifying woman in women's basketball collaborating with them, man. I can't wait to see what it is. Is it going to be Clark's logo on the Stanley Cup, man? What is it going to be? Good job, Stanley, picking up Caitlin Clark to do a collaboration with y'all, man, because this is going to be huge, man.
With that kind of unprecedented influence comes more than just fans. It breeds resentment, and the psychological battle was only just heating up. While Nike lavished Clark with a deal that put her alongside some of the most iconic names in male sports, the rest of the league's players were left scrambling for basic recognition and fair pay. During that very same All-Star weekend, the one that saw viewership nosedive in Clark's absence, veteran players made a quiet but powerful statement. Many showed up wearing shirts emblazoned with the message, "Pay us what you owe us." It was a silent protest against decades of underpayment and a plea for respect that's long overdue. Meanwhile, those same players had to watch as a rookie not only secured a contract that dwarfs what most of them will earn in their entire careers but also became the face of the league's future. This wasn't just about money. It was a growing divide between a new superstar empire and a league still grappling with its own inequalities.
You know, just trying to be that kind of soundboard for her and that voice, having gone through something kind of similar, and you know, knowing obviously it's really unfortunate that we don't have her, but you know, she means a lot more to the game than just showing up and playing, and I think you're able to see that with just the excitement in Indy right now, regardless of if she's playing or not.
Nike isn't just paying Caitlin Clark, they're investing in her at what insiders openly refer to as Jordan money. This is the kind of commitment that carries one clear expectation: global domination. That level of investment sets the stage for a difficult, almost toxic dynamic inside the league. Every other player is left watching as the sport they've dedicated their lives to, the very league they helped build, slowly fades into the background of what's become the Caitlin Clark show. They're no longer the stars, they're the supporting cast in a machine engineered to elevate one irreplaceable player above all else. Underneath the surface, this fuels a deep, simmering resentment, an unspoken truth that's become one of the WNBA's most guarded and volatile secrets.
Man, the ladies is gonna love this, man. They already be walking around with they big ass Stanley Cups, never letting it go. And now you got a God Caitlin Clark Stanley Cup collaboration. Fire, man. But what else can you do when the most electrifying woman in women's basketball is just out there, man? And you know you gonna want to do a collaboration with her because it's gonna bring all the goddamn attention, man. Good job, Clark. Congratulations, man. Let the endorsements and the collaborations keep rolling, ladies and gentlemen.
As Caitlin Clark prepared to make her return, it became clear this wasn't simply about getting back on the court, it was about reclaiming her throne. Nike's branding campaign was no accident, it was a carefully orchestrated masterpiece, designed and executed with precision. Clark herself played a hands-on role in crafting her iconic logo, two interlocking C's symbolizing her deep, personal connection with fans. Hidden within that design is a smaller C, representing the core of her game, relentless, inside-out work ethic and unyielding practice. This isn't just merchandise or a fashion statement, it's storytelling on a level the WNBA has never seen before. Her logo collection is set to debut alongside her first signature shoe in 2026, but the vision stretches far beyond sneakers. Already, partnerships with lifestyle brands like Stanley signal that Clark is being positioned not just as an athlete, but as a cultural icon. When she finally steps back onto the court, wearing her own emblem on her jersey and shoes, it won't feel like a mere return from injury. It will feel like a hostile takeover made official, a visual declaration of dominance to fans, fellow players, and the league itself. Nike's message is now loud, clear, and impossible to ignore. They didn't just sign a player. They engineered a strategic takeover of women's basketball's future. For years, the WNBA struggled to break into the mainstream spotlight. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, a golden goose, a once-in-a-generation talent. But amid a mix of league arrogance and neglect, they failed to shield her from physical targeting and injury, exposing their own fragility. Nike saw the warning signs early and made their move. The league spent months pretending they didn't need their brightest star, and Nike reminded the world exactly what was missing. Clark's logo isn't just about style or branding. It's a shot fired across the bow. The league didn't create a superstar is now building her own empire on their foundation. And the most chilling truth? The WNBA is finally realizing it never had a choice. They are no longer the architects of their future, they're mere spectators, watching the coronation of their new queen.